So this is a quick demonstration of how to take apart a JFJ Easy Pro. The demonstration is maybe not quite as good as it could be because I've already taken it apart, but I can at least walk you through the different steps. And the good news is that up to a point it's very easy, and then the bad news is that you can really get yourself into a world of trouble. So I'll point all that as I go along. First, you need to get the bottom off, which I basically done here. It's just a piece of plastic that slides out. There are these little snaps here that sort of hold it in place a little bit, and then those little ramps there give you some additional resistance, so you have to push beyond those too. So basically what you do is you just pull on this until it's gapped by an inch or so, and then you can take a screwdriver and pry against this edge here to get it over these little bumps here. So no screws, nothing particularly tricky, and I don't think you can really hurt anything. You just have to apply enough force. This is the spindle that you put your pads on. That's just held on by friction. So you just grab a hold of it and pull up. Then you've got these 4 screws you need to take out. This is what they look like once they're out. That's an Allen wrench. So you'll need one of those, but it's not anything particularly like a security bit. It's easy to do, and they don't take that much effort to take out. Once you've done that, the motor just falls free like that. And that's where the danger starts, because I thought, let's take apart the motor. And the reason I wanted to take the motor apart is because it was starting to make a squealing sound, pretty bad squealing sound, suggesting it was about to destroy itself. And I was hoping that maybe there were some gears or some pulleys or something that were causing the squealing, but that's definitely not what's in there. So this is what's at the bottom of the motor, and this is what's got me in trouble. So this is a DC motor, and those little bits there are called brushes. They are a physical point of contact with the shaft, and that's why motors make the grinding noise that they do. I don't think that's why it's causing the squealing sound, although I don't really know for sure. In any case, those are in theory a replaceable part. But if you take the motor apart like I did, they will slip loose, because this is not where they are when this thing's running. This little guy here is actually supposed to be inside this little bit of brass here with that spring compressed, and then the shaft, this guy here, goes in between them. So as you can see, I'm going to have some difficulty here, because once I slide this guy in here, the spring immediately wants to push it back out again. So I'm going to have, I think, what I would describe as a fun time putting this all back together again. And there aren't really any serviceable parts other than replacing the brushes. So I don't think I actually did myself any good. Here's the rest of the internals. This is the top side. There's the 2 screws that you take apart to get this whole thing to come loose. Those screws run the entire length and then come out here. So they basically hold the top and the bottom together. And then the shaft and all the wire and stuff just floats free. Inside here is a bearing. That's also a potential spot for there to be some squealing, so I'll probably try to lubricate it a little bit, but honestly I don't know why it started squealing, and I'm not really sure that there's anything I can do to improve it. So to conclude, if you want to take it apart, you can get to this stage without really doing yourself any harm. I don't know what of these components here might fail, but they're just held together with simple push-on connectors, so it'd be easy to swap things in and out. But don't go further. Don't go into the motor. That's probably the end of your motor. Now luckily I have 2 JFJ devices here, so if I can't get my motor working, I can steal the one from this one over here and have a fully functioning unit. These JFJ devices are prone to having breakage of the part that holds the CD against the sanding pad, and so that's why I have 2 of these. One that's started to fail but I fixed in time, and the other one that failed before I even ever owned it. So it is possible to make a Frankenstein device out of these things. Okay, quick addendum here. So I did manage to get the motor back together. It was not fun in the slightest and really required 2 people. I had to tape down the brushes and then push the motor spindle out one side of the housing several inches, and then I could slide everything together and then have someone pull the tape off once the spindle was in place. So it is doable, but I really don't recommend it because it doesn't actually give you access to anything that's serviceable. Meanwhile, I figured out what's causing the squeaking sound. If you look very carefully, you'll see that right around the motor spindle is a piece of rubber. And the reason for that rubber is, I think, fairly obvious actually. It's so that if this thing floods, which is pretty easy to have happen if you're cleaning off your sandpaper with water, it doesn't get into the motor and ruin it. So I think that my spindle had a little bit of sideways pressure on it when I was cleaning a GameCube disc, and it caused the spindle to push too hard on the rubber, causing some of it to deposit on the spindle, and then that was what was causing the squeaking. So I lubricated with a little bit of baby oil, which may be a bad idea, I don't know. But in any case, it doesn't make any noise now, as I will demonstrate. Beautiful. Alrighty, so a happy ending, but not one that I really enjoyed reaching.